Hello, my fellow YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome to my latest movie review, where today I review Nomadland, the movie that has recently swept all of the awards with the Academy. With the current situation, this movie's release has been a little bit different. It is now released in the cinema, as cinemas in the UK have just reopened. However, it was streaming on Disney Plus as well, and it still is streaming on Disney Plus. I chose to watch it on Disney Plus purely on the basis of that I would save money. So it's nothing personal, but I mean, normally I would choose the big screen, but on this occasion I needed to save some money. So anyway, the movie is directed by Chloe Zhao and stars Frances McDormand, and the plot of Nomadland is as follows. A woman in her 60s, after losing everything in the Great Recession, embarks on a journey through the American West, living as a van-dwelling modern-day nomad. So, Nomadland. This movie has received, like, what, 3 Oscars? I think it's won Best Picture as well, so it is being raved about. It is really, really quite something. What do I think of Nomadland? Well, I was really impressed by this film. I thought it was a very, very professionally made film. It's a very interesting one because it's quite an observant film. As Chris Stuckman has said in his review, it's very observant. Narratively, there isn't much to it. There's a very simple sort of premise, but the movie's merits come from how it executes itself, which I'll go into. So I can understand people struggling to get into this movie on the basis of the pacing, because the pacing is very slow. I didn't mind it personally. I thought it was interesting and a very good exploration, but I just think that certain viewers are not gonna gauge this as much as others. What really impresses me about this film is the message of it. The fact that we focus on this character called Fern. She's widowed. She's basically decided to live the rest of her life on the road because she's sort of unemployed. She's going between jobs. So she's living in a van that she decided to do up and thought, screw it, I'll live the rest of my days on the road. And she comes across these group of nomads. And even though a lot of their stories, their individual stories, are quite sad, she manages to find the beauty of the situation. They all manage to find the kind of positive side of life through each other. They have each other and they create many memories together. The way I'm describing it doesn't sound good. It sounds sappy and cheesy, but it's not. It's a very interesting, thought-provoking movie because it basically says that even in the darkest of times, there is the light. And that's what this film is about. Fern trying to find the best out of a bad situation. And that's what all these people are doing, trying to find the best out of a bad situation. And some of the supporting roles, like the smaller cast members, they're really good. The fact that we get to know some of their individual stories, like there's one woman who talks about how she was close to committing suicide. There was one man who talks about how his son committed suicide. All of these people have gone through similar situations, and then they've all conglomerated together. And Frances McDormand's character, she's a widow. She was married to somebody. He's passed on. I think she had kids as well, but it's not really said. I can't remember. There are several moments during this movie where she is quite down, and the mood of the film is very bleak, and it is down. But it did strike me how undeniably positive the movie was as well. And it was a good way to kind of accentuate the message without trying to damage the tone of the movie. Because you would think that the movie would want to be tonally consistent, but I feel like this is a film that has an evolving tone. It has a tone in which, it starts out pretty depressing and murky, and it's not the cheeriest of films, but as the story evolves and as the character goes on her journey, she starts to, get used to the situation. She starts to accept it, and she starts to make friends, and there are some genuinely lovely, lovely moments in the film, and it's about her interactions with these people and how all of them live during this time. What's also clever about the movie is that it's based on a book, and the book uses the Great Recession as the kind of starting point of the story, which I think is a very interesting idea. Obviously, the credit crunch, as it's also known, was a very difficult time, and a lot of us don't realise how dark and despairing it was for some people who couldn't afford the cost of living. I mean, the cost of living even nowadays is not cheap. Lo and behold, some of us are luckier than others, And what with this COVID pandemic, who knows what the economic state will be by the end of it. But in the case of this film, I thought it was a really interesting, idea to kind of use that as the springboard of the plot. And actually, you would think that the film would choose to focus on the young people who are trying to start out in life, but no, they focus on elderly people, people who have worked, who have lived lives, and who are almost coming to the end of their lives, but need to support themselves, and they can't. And it's tragic. It's really sad. We see Fern going through a lot of jobs. I think she works in Amazon, and then she works for like a Burger King or something, and then she does farming, and then she does labouring. She does loads of different jobs to keep herself going. And in the end, she just decides to accept the situation, and she has a lot of valuable possessions in that van, and it's a quite profound moment when she chooses to let it all go. It's quite sad in a lot of areas. I won't lie that the movie is sad in places, but it's got a very positive message, which I appreciate. So you're not gonna be too depressed watching it. And on a technical level, this movie is amazing. The direction is superb by Chloe Zhao. She really captures the sort of intimate quality that this film has, and even though the scope is very kind of desolate, there's a certain emptiness about this movie, and that transcends through. And the look of the movie is also very good. Visually, it's stunning. It looks superb. You really feel the desperation of everybody's situations, but the intimacy is what really kept it going for me. The fact that it was about what these people have been through and what they're going through, and them trying to make the best of the situation. So you could argue that, I mean, it's a character study, yes, but you could argue that it's very thin on plot. It is a thin plot, but it's an exploration, and that's what I quite like about this film. There's also a moment where one of Fern's friends, who's a grandfather, we see him playing with his grandchild, and it's a nice moment that also kind of makes you think, oh, in this life, how are the new generation going to cope with this, and how are they going to save this, and how are they going to be successful? It's just a movie that makes you think, and that's what I like about it. It really does know how to do that well. Also, like I said, a lot of those individual scenes with those nomads, they are, when they talk about their personal, journeys, what they've been through, it almost feels slightly documentary style. And a lot of people have said this. It feels a bit like a docudrama. I imagine these scenes were probably scripted, but if they weren't, it would be even more impressive. I mean, wow, you feel every single word that they are saying. The actors are so good. This is an amazingly acted movie. The performances are just terrific. I mean, Frances McDormand, of course, is amazing, and we're following her throughout the entire film, and she is wonderful. She is so good in this film. But it's all the others that really actually make it stand out for me. I really think it's them. They create the world of this movie. They create the kind of atmosphere, and the harshness of the world that they're living in, and the rawness, because there's a real sadness to this. But in the end, of course, there is a positive vibe about all of it. But it's a very beautifully made film. I think it's a very, very, very well made film. I think the music score for the movie is also very sad and very poignant, and I think that's what I like about the movie. It's very simple, but it's poignant. It executes its point so well, and it's a good demonstration of the repercussions of economic failure and how that affects everyone. Not just Fern, but also everybody else. It's a really it's quite a harrowing film in that sense, but it's the movie's commentary on what you do in a bad situation to make the best of a bad situation. That is what, to me, cements this movie's greatness, and I will always appreciate that. So I think Nomadland is a masterpiece. I think this is a great movie and definitely deserving of the award. There are some pacing issues. I mean, I wouldn't say they're major pacing issues. This movie is intended to be a slow-moving film. If you don't have enough patience for that, then you may want to reconsider. But the movie's length is only like 1 hour 50 minutes. It's not too long, so you're not going to be sitting there for like 2.5 hours watching this. Otherwise, that would have been too long. Chloe Zhao, I hope that she directs more movies, because she's a very talented director. So anyway, I'm going to give Nomadland an easy 10 out of 10. this is the best movie in quite some time, and it's sort of one of the first new releases that I'm reviewing this year, because we haven't had many new releases because of the fucking pandemic. But hopefully that will change soon, with the cinemas in the UK reopening. So anyway, that's my review of Nomadland. What do you think? Please comment down below, let me know. Hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more content like this. And until my next review, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon. Bye for now.